I didn't rush. I didn't run. I paused. Not because I was lost. Because I was listening. The world kept moving. But I stayed still. Not stuck. Not frozen. Present. There's a space between leaving and arriving. And I stood in it. Not to decide. Not to explain. Just to feel. The silence wasn't empty. It was full of everything I hadn't said. The stillness wasn't passive. It was active. In its honesty. I didn't know what came next. But I knew what couldn't continue. And that was enough. I didn't pause to be dramatic. I paused to be real. To feel the weight of what I carried. To notice what no longer fit. To breathe without performing. The pause wasn't a break. It was a beginning. Not loud, not clear, but true. And I stayed in it long enough to hear myself. Not the version I used to be. Not the voice they expected. Me. Quiet. Present. Becoming. I didn't leave. I paused. And in that pause, I shifted. I didn't leave. I shifted. Not away. Not against. Just beyond. I didn't slam the door. I stopped standing in it. I didn't disappear. I became quiet. I didn't reject the past. I outgrew it. The shift wasn't loud. It was subtle, but irreversible. I didn't change overnight. I changed slowly, like breath, like light, like truth. I didn't ask for permission. I didn't wait for approval. I just moved. Not to escape. To align. Not to prove. To become. Not to be seen. To be whole. The shift wasn't dramatic. It was honest. I no longer fit the frame. So I stopped shrinking. I no longer matched the rhythm. So I stopped pretending. I no longer felt safe in the silence. So I started listening to my own. I didn't leave. I shifted. And that changed the map. Not the world's. Mine. And now I move differently. Not faster. Not louder. Just true. The distance wasn't measured in steps. It was felt in silence. I didn't move far, but I moved deep. I didn't change cities. I changed states of being. They said, "You're still here." But I wasn't. Not in the way they remembered. I didn't vanish. I just stopped echoing. I didn't drift. I realigned. And that created distance. Not in maps. In meaning. I didn't stop loving. I stopped performing. I didn't stop caring. I stopped contorting. I didn't stop showing up. I just showed up. As me. And that was unfamiliar. The distance wasn't rejection. It was recognition. Of what I needed. Of what I couldn't carry. Of what I had outgrown. I didn't leave. But I wasn't where I used to be. And that was enough. Even if they didn't understand. Even if they felt the gap. Even if they missed the version I no longer was. I didn't leave. I shifted. And the distance was the proof. I didn't rewrite the story. I reread it. With new eyes. And suddenly, it wasn't what I thought. The love was layered with performance. The closeness was built on compromise. The safety was silence. I didn't blame. I didn't accuse. I just saw. And that was enough. I didn't leave the story. I stepped out of the role. I didn't burn the pages. I stopped reciting them. I didn't reject the past. I reframed it. Not as failure. As growth. Not as betrayal. As boundary. Not as loss. As clarity. The reframing wasn't loud. It was quiet. But it shifted everything. I no longer needed to be the version they loved. I no longer needed to carry the weight they handed me. I no longer needed to explain why I changed. I just did. And the story had to adjust. Not because I forced it. Because I stopped fitting. I didn't leave. I shifted. And the reframing was the release. I didn't storm out. I softened out. No slammed doors. No final words. Just absence. Not because I was angry. Because I was done. I didn't leave to punish. I left to protect. I didn't vanish. I just stopped showing up. Where I wasn't met. The exit wasn't loud. It was quiet. But complete. I didn't make a scene. I made a choice. To stop shrinking. To stop bending. To stop waiting. I didn't owe a speech. I owed myself peace. And so, I stepped out. Not with bitterness. With clarity. Not with rage. With release. Not with noise. With breath. The soft exit wasn't weakness. It was wisdom. I didn't leave the room. I left the role. I didn't leave the people. I left the pattern. I didn't leave the love. I left the conditions. And that was enough. I didn't leave. I shifted. And the exit was the beginning. I didn't leave to escape. I shifted toward something real. And now, I move differently. Not pulled by guilt. Not pushed by fear. Drawn by truth. The gravity changed. It's not about who needs me. It's about what calls me. It's not about staying loyal to a version I've outgrown. It's about honoring who I've become. I don't orbit old patterns. I align with new ones. I don't chase approval. I follow resonance. I don't return out of habit. I arrive with intention. The new gravity is quiet, but strong. It doesn't shout. It pulls. It doesn't demand. It invites. It doesn't trap. It holds. And I follow it. Not because it's easy. Because it's mine. I didn't leave. I shifted. And now, I move with new gravity.